Hello and welcome to Star Citizen Sunday with me, Ryan, aka Sifu Messiah. This is a weekly show which covers everything from the world of Star Citizen over the past week. Links can be found in the description for everything we discuss, so let's get on with it. So this week it is the 50th episode of Around the Verse. There are work in progress posts on ArcCorp, the Retaliator and the Hull series, plus the concept sale of the Genesis Starliner. Definitely not to be missed. So the 10 for this week is 10 for the producers. This is episode 8. Now again, I have only picked out 2 of the questions as the majority of them were more focused on what a producer's job is or how to become a producer. So if you are interested in either of those aspects, please check the link in the description below to the 10 for the producers to watch the full show. Anyway, the first question is, when delays occur in production, such as what's happening with the Star Marine, what are the producers doing to minimise its effect on the overall schedule of the game development? And they say that there are good structures in place which Travis Day explained they're sort of modelled on 2 pyramids where you have one inverted upon the other which is standing correctly, and each holds a branch of the game's development, so FPS, so on and so forth. But they say that this structure is very, very good at keeping things constantly flowing so that there's always work being done and it's not all focused on the one area. They also say that they make sure they space out the releases of each module to allow breathing time and not to burn out the staff, which is completely understandable and I agree with. From what it sounds like, that it does actually, and it will obviously affect the main goal if certain things are delayed because more team will be working on that specific module to get it released. But they do have things in place and they really help minimise any delays. It does sound like they're quite a well-oiled machine. Anyway, last question for the 10 for the producers was, what is the process of implementing a feature into Star Citizen? Now they did want specifics and it'd be quite detailed, so I've tried to compact it enough to make sense but not take a good half an hour. And they used the ghost system as an example, which is the game object state, which they have to sort of understand where the player is compared to the ship so that they can interact appropriately. For example, if someone's in the turret already, it won't allow you to get in. Also, instead of just having the ladder to climb up, you may want to deploy it instead if it's not there. So it has a lot of aspects. Anyway, they say that first they need a list of needs, which basically means a list of things that need to be done. So obviously if the ladder isn't there, they need first to press a button for the ladder to come down. Now from there they may need you to either climb up or to stay where you are, or maybe turn around again, or maybe get up quicker, and all these need to be handled separately. So they make a list of everything that needs to be done, and so they hand that to the engineering team, and then they figure out the best way to fix this. They sit down with the designers and discuss what needs to be done, and then once it's greenlit, they break down where to start and what to start with, and then they start building from there, and it just goes on. And they say at the end there always needs to be room for a Q&A before the release so they can bug test it and all sorts. It is quite a big job for each system that comes online, so it will take a long while, and to be honest, I know we've been waiting a long time for Star Marine, but I would much rather have it a complete polished game mode than a complete buggy mess. So in my opinion, they can take as long as they want. I've backed the game, I'm happy to wait, obviously not too long, but as long as they do it right, that's all that I'm bothered about. Anyway, let's move on from that as there wasn't really much to talk about. So this week was the 50th episode of Around the Verse, and what an episode it was. So much information, especially about the Genesis Starliner, which is amazing. So let's get on with it. Again, it started with the Empire Report, so here it is.
Tonight on the Empire Report, Sheila Hero sees her day in court. The notorious intersystem outlaw faces over 70 counts, including robbery, smuggling, and murder. Security specialists are wondering if she'll try to trade names for leniency. We'll have details.
New United released their annual list of the happiest systems in the UEE. Where does your home rank? We'll break down the results and talk to one of the judges.
Spark those engines. Murray Cup racing season is just around the corner. We'll introduce the new faces, who's favored to win, and which former cup holder may be closing out this year at the bottom of the pack.
All that and more on the next Empire Report at 2200 SET.
As you heard, it mentioned the Murray Cup racing season was about to begin, so it sounds like it's a summer-style sport where the main championships are held between maybe July and August? Who knows? Anyway, Sandy's back from London after the mocap shoot. She says she's back for good now until Gamescom. There's only 3 weeks left of shooting, and she said it looks really amazing, but no more was said, unfortunately. Anyway, it's still a free fly for all the ships in Arena Commander, so do get in there and give them a go. So, news from around the verse, starting with Santa Monica CIG. They say they're getting all the producers together to figure out how to proceed for the next year. They're also planning Gamescom, and also the graphics programmers are working on shader tech for the characters, as there is a new pipeline for it, so we should be seeing more and more characters come out pretty quickly, I reckon. Over to Ilphonic, they say the EMP grenades are functioning now and they disable all gadgets, so things like personal shields, or your hologram will be disabled with an EMP grenade, as well as the lights within the proximity of its blast, so all the lights will flicker or go out momentarily until the EMP has finished. Also, there is now the ability to cook grenades, so you can hold it, let the timer tick down, and hope to God that you can count properly. And also in regards to the start, stops and juke system, they say the starts and stops are done, and the juke system was going in that day, so after that it is just polishing and tweaking. They are getting so close. So over to Austin CIG, they say they are wrapping up the shader and texture phase on the Nix Delamarlevsky landing zone, and it is entering the final art stage. So this is the third landing zone we will see when the social module hits the more pirate area. They say they've got some animations being implemented, including the bartender, the patrons, and there's even like a little wall lean, as exciting as that is. They say it's also fun to see the NPCs come to life. Anyway, they're talking about other occupations, and currently they're sort of working on the mercenary, the bounty hunter, the smuggler, some piracy, passenger transport, as we will hear later, and the escort occupations are all being sort of fleshed out now, and they say features on those will come later on this year into the next year. Moving to Foundry 42, where he spoke with an art director, and he wanted to talk all about ships, which is brilliant. The Idris, he says, looks awesome. They are working on all sorts, especially getting the interiors textured and lit. The Retaliator is becoming flight ready, and it is hopefully going to be available, well, it will be available for the multi-crew module. The mining bot has gone into production. They're doing some more concept, and it's sort of like a construction heavy-duty type machine. That'll be the feel of it. The Xi'an cargo ship is getting its first pass, and again, more concepting. And the Bengal bridge is getting a lot of work to it. And then after that, it's the hangars within the Bengal that are getting worked on. Also, he mentions that the Bearing shotgun is now in production. So, very cool news from around the verse. The next section was Lisa Ohanian's ship shape. She wanted to talk about ship layout design, which ties in nicely with James Pugh's interview. And ship layout design is matching interior to exterior, making sure everything fits within the exterior, and so it makes sense, basically. And the example she was talking about was the Genesis Starliner, which is very exciting. This is to be a commercial transport ship for hauling passengers from one system to the next. Think of it as a big ship cruise liner type ship. She says they start with a design brief, thinking of its functionality, the sort of the special needs it has, and its aesthetics. And they try and come up with a first art for the exterior and maybe some mood shots as well. After that, it's a high-level layout for each room and how it will fit within the interior. And because of it being quite a special ship, it has more layout detail than usual compared to other ships. So they're really focusing on the interior to a greater depth. We got to see the first draft image of what it'll look like. Very exciting. They say it's large cargo for luggage, large areas for ease of access to get all the passengers on and off. The cockpit is bigger as the crew will live there. Cargo storage areas have been increased for luggage and obviously flight supplies depending on how long it is in space. And we saw another X-ray image of the interior layout over or within the exterior. Again, this is the first time I think we've actually ever seen the Genesis Starliner, but it does not stop there as we move swiftly on to James Pugh's interview with Randy Vasquez looking at the Genesis Starliner. But before that, I'll just put over the top the new Witch Glitch episode 3. We'll have it playing in the background. I'll try not to let it get in the way too much, but these are all the 5 top glitches of the week, so I'll leave that going on. But we'll talk about the Genesis Starliner, and it's currently in white boxing, and it looks like it's Randy Vasquez who is working on it. He says, as we can see, there's luxury seating. They're all sort of placeholders for now for the luxury seats. There's luxury sleep pods, other seating, lounge. You get to see the economy sleeping quarters compared to the luxury. So then they showed us the more complete version, a second version, with bathrooms have been added, the cockpit is more situated. But the problem was they said that they didn't think about safety features and length of travel, and they said say they're working with Austin to try and figure all this out. So this third version is, I think, one that they've thought about these safety features and put them into. There's more room, the sleeping is downstairs, and there's sort of more personal storage. They said when they looked at the Genesis Starliner, they used inspiration from airlines or airplanes, trains, cruise liners, even the Hindenburg. They say it's more like a ship cruise liner from the Fifth Element, which is a very cool ship in itself. They say that you are able to sit in the seats, then you can walk around, you can sleep. They've added kitchens, mess hall, a lounge, an observation deck. You can lay down and enjoy the view from the observation deck. There's more bathrooms. Now the variants they'll have, the first one that we saw was sort of a dual class, so it has luxury as well as economy. There is a luxury version which has more full suites and private bathrooms, as well as places to store your vehicles and multiple bars. There is another version with spas, like a jacuzzi, more of a comfortable sofa lounge, and lots of elevators. The crew size was originally going to be 4, but because it's so big, they say you'll need people like stewards, obviously a pilot, a co-pilot, a mechanic, a captain, a gunner. 4 was... It sounded like a very definite understatement. They didn't specify exactly how many, but with as many people on board, you'll need as many stewards to counter them. So expect a lot of crew. There's also a troop variant, which is very cool. It's got bigger guns, it's more heavily armoured, and it is again more about passengers getting as many people to an area as quick as they can. Maybe a bit like the C-130, in my opinion. With this ship, with this variant, they wanted the sort of Battlestar Galactica meeting room, where if you're late, you'll have to come up the elevator and walk in front of everyone to get to your seat. So if we see this in Squadron 42, or when you buy this and you can upgrade to this military variant, you've got to be on time. There's also a hologram display, a meeting room, lots of sleeping quarters, obviously the mess hall, the kitchen, and they say the seats are arranged more vertically rather than horizontally to allow quicker access. Also there's storage for weapons and rucksacks, and a drop-down cargo bay for vehicles and gear. Now the engines themselves are downstairs, and they say that if one system gets damaged, it can still keep going because they are isolated, which is very, very cool and obviously quite important. The bridge itself has consoles, a holo table, submarine-style stations, and gun racks. And the last variant they're coming up with is sort of more vehicle storage with a big armory, or maybe places where you can swap into suits, like EVA suits, or maybe, I don't know, maybe if they have some mech suits. They haven't mentioned that, I'm just hoping. There's an office, there's a fitness centre. Now, it's quite interesting to mention a fitness centre. I don't know if there will be a need to train or to jog or to keep your character in shape. In my opinion, I would like that idea. It hasn't been confirmed. It is only complete speculation. I'd like to know what other people's thoughts on that. Would you like to have to keep up with your body shape a bit like Grand Theft Auto San Andreas? I expect it'll be a bit of a 50-50 reaction. Anyway, the gun racks are between the seats and there's lots of ladders rather than stairwells. Anyway, that was the interview with Randy Vasquez. A very, very cool interview looking at this new ship. Really exciting. From there, we looked at these postcards that we keep seeing about the Meridian Transit, and this is going to be the space airline, obviously tying in nicely with the Genesis Starliner. And there will be an interactive fiction experience, which we should be playing now, as the release of the concept sale should be available. But unfortunately, I am away on Saturday and Sunday, so I will have to miss off a couple of things in order to be gone early enough. So what I'll have to do is put the rest of the stuff on the next week's show. Hopefully I can get in the concept sale and let you all know about it quick enough. That's why I'm saying it in around the verse, because I don't know if it'll be out by the time I go. So it should be available now. Also, we'll get to see some concept art for flight attendants and the interior cabins, which is very, very cool. Now, moving over to the sneak peek, which seems a little lesser compared to the Genesis Starliner, which in my opinion was much better sneak peek, but here it is. I don't know if it's a control panel from the Constellation. Maybe you've let your Merlin out for a run at the Vanduul. Who knows? Tell me your thoughts. Anyway, that was Around the Verse, 50th episode. Amazing information, awesome stuff. Please tell me what your thoughts are. So this week we saw quite a few work in progress posts. The first one is about the Retaliator, and these work in progress posts show off images and notes taken from the development team working on it to show us, basically how they come to be. So this post has 40 plus images on the Aegis Retaliator. If you want to pause on each screen to read them, go ahead, but if you need to read them properly, there will be a link in the description below where you can just read at your own leisure. It shows us some early concept images to start with 4 different different options. Then it goes on to the internal layouts. Now there was close-ups of the cockpit too, and most of the images have been annotated to explain what certain features are, which is really, really good and really gives us an insight into how the Retaliator came to be. To finish with, they also included some images of real-life inspiration, so what drove them to make the Retaliator look as it does. I really like these work in progress posts. They are so good, and as I say, they give us an insight not only to this specific ship, but to some possible gameplay actions too. So I would definitely recommend following the link in the description and just checking it out, reading up on it. And this is the first of, well, so far tonight on Thursday, this is the first of 3 work in progress posts. So, the second work in progress post this week was about ArcCorp. And ArcCorp is the place that we saw for the Persistent Universe tech demo where he flew down from orbit across the landscape and landed to go through into customs and then finally into Dumper's depot. That was ArcCorp. And like the Retaliator work in progress, it shows off another 40 plus images of how ArcCorp came to fruition. Now in this post they were detailing things like locations, shops and customs through to characters, clothing and even dancing. Each picture holds comments from the people working on them and gives a real insight into what we can expect to see in the upcoming social module. Again, this is literally just a handful of pictures available, so please follow the link to see all of them and read the notes that you see, because again it can play into some gameplay details and all sorts of information that really excites everyone. So the third and final work in progress post this week was on the Hull series. Again, it's going into great detail into its early concepting through to how it actually works. There are 37 images and many of them are annotated again to give the best insight to many parts of the ship. Don't forget the link is in the description should you want to see them all at your leisure. This is only a brief overlook. So also this week we met with the CIG dev Gage Holman. He is the associate 3D artist. Check out his interview if you want to know what he has to say. We had an advocacy archive titled Lost and Found, but I am still to read that, so no spoilers please. There was also a behind the scenes post which was titled ArcCorp and the Persistent Universe, and it tells us all about the creation of ArcCorp and the PU since we first saw it within the Constellation Flydown. And finally there was a new galactic guide which is titled Covalex Shipping, which is a huge shipping conglomerate, probably going to be the main shipping company which we may get trade jobs from, so definitely worth finding out some backstory on them. This week's Star Citizen Sunday is going to be in 2 parts. We had a huge amount of information this week, and unfortunately I will not be home over the weekend to get it all done. Fear not, however, as part 2 will be up on Monday, and this part will be all about the Genesis Starliner concept sale and the passenger transporter occupation. Trust me, it's going to be epic. We recently affiliated with Razer as we feel they make amazing products, and if you're looking for a particular peripheral, click the link in the description to see what Razer's latest deals are this week. Also, if you spend over £54 or $49 in the US, your shipping is completely free. Any product bought will give us a little kickback, which really helps us out. So yet again we have come to the end of the show. I just want to say a big thank you to all our subscribers and a massive thank you to all our patrons. You are truly helping our channel grow. If you are interested or able to help us out in way of a monthly donation from as little as $1 to any amount you deem fit, check out our Patreon page in the description. This really helps our channel to create more videos, better quality videos, and it allows us to get better hardware, better software, plus it allows us to spend more time on creating the videos. Don't forget to subscribe, comment if you have anything to say, show me the love by hitting the like button and share it with all your friends and enemies. Thank you for watching, and I shall see you in next week's show.
My name is Adrian Shaw, and I'm a smuggler. What's your story?